Good morning again, guys. Yeah, it's Friday, so of course we have more stuff coming out, kind of sneaking through. Wanted to kind of follow up a little bit on the economic stuff I was talking about this morning, but this was kind of interesting as to what came out yesterday. Y'all know what CBDC is, central bank digital currency, right? Okay. Everybody talked about this quite a bit, including me, where the governments are going to issue Fed coin for all intents and purposes, the government controlled cryptocurrency. We even went through Saleh Amarova here being nominated for the comptroller of the currency position before she finally got pulled from her nomination because she basically is an avowed communist. Okay. When one, comes out and says, close all banks and, have the federal government in control of everything. Yet that doesn't mean that CBDC is being taken out of consideration for anything. And I'll give you this. Just in the last 24 hours, and it's just short of 8 o'clock here on Friday morning, okay? HSBC, these are headlines. HSBC and IBM create a successful multi-ledger CBDC, okay? Kazakhstan piloting a CBDC on R3's Corda platform. Bank of France completes the final wholesale CBDC trial with HSBC, okay? How Stellar will host Ukraine's CBDC pilot test with Tascom Bank. Okay. French Central Bank completes first stage of its CBDC experiments. Kazakhstan Central Bank reports results on CBDC pilot project. That's within the last 24 hours, guys. Those are headlines. Okay. Here's another one, and this is kind of interesting. Sitting Congressman Lance Gooden from Texas, Lisa McClain from Michigan, Mark Wayne Mullen from Oklahoma, Jake Ellzey from Texas, wrote a bill, or wrote the U.S. Olympic Committee, urging them to make the athletes going to the Beijing Olympics in a couple of months to not use the digital yuan while they're there. Why? They're contending it could lead to an increased surveillance of American athletes. This is what they wrote. The digital yuan is entirely controlled by the POBC and can be tracked and traced by the central bank. The digital yuan has been in the works since 2014, but only recently has the Chinese government released key features regarding the digital currency, including the ability of the government to know the exact details of what someone purchased and where. Okay. That's pretty much the definition of what CBDC does. The ability of government to know the exact details of what someone purchased and where. We have sitting congressmen saying U.S. citizens should not use the digital yuan. However, I have yet to hear any sitting congressman, any sitting senator, anybody in the White House say the United States will not participate in digital currency. Because, I'm sorry, if the Chinese can know the exact details of what someone purchased and where, certainly the American government can. So why is it that our Congress people don't want us to use the digital yuan, but seem to still be totally okay if we use the Fed coin? Okay? I want you to think about that one. Now, how does this kind of come into play? And how does this affect all of us, too? Y'all have probably seen, if you haven't, you've had your head under a rock for the last 2 years, okay? All the help wanted signs everywhere. I mean, you name it, companies are screaming for workers everywhere. I drive through small town here, okay? And there's help wanted $13 an hour, help wanted $15 an hour, I don't care if it's the McDonald's, the Chick-fil-A, the oil place, Kroger, you name it, okay? All these places have help wanted signs. Yet this is where we get very interesting. There don't seem to be any workers, but yet we have unemployment down significantly. Well, what does that mean? First off, how unemployment's calculated. Those are all people that are collecting unemployment, and a lot of people have exhausted their benefits, okay? For example, right now, you all know I'm not working. I'm also not collecting unemployment, okay? It doesn't work that way for me. But, so I don't count on the unemployment rolls. Anybody else who's already got their maxed out on their unemployment doesn't count. So the unemployment numbers are completely bullshit. I mean, they're just totally wrong. But what you really have is a shortage of skilled workers, okay? Yes, companies are screaming for they need employees, they need employees. Now, you can go into a McDonald's, you can go into a Hardee's or whatever it is, and pretty much with no skills get hired on and get trained there. That's what those places were for originally. You know, high school kids or college kids or whatever to come in, get a part-time job and do it. I've said many times, my opinion, those are not career positions. If you wind up in management or a franchisee, okay, yeah, you can make a career out of it. But would you like fries with that is not a career decision. Okay. But we hear all the other ones about truck drivers, school bus drivers, electricians, you know, whatever it is, and companies, you know, can't find anybody. You know, property surveyors, whatever it was. I mean, I've been trying to get my property surveyed for over a year, okay, to get this done. They're so backed up because they don't have anybody to do the work. But those are all skilled positions. And why do we have that problem? Well, somebody went to college, got their degree in liberal arts or got their degree in video game playing, and they're not, you know, they've got $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 in debt, and they're not going to go work at McDonald's because I've got my college degree. So they don't work. They live in mom's basement instead. Then, of course, you know, their college loans are due, but of course, unless you're like Rashida Tlaib, I have $70,000 in college loans that I haven't paid yet. Well, you're making $180,000 a year. I think you can afford them. So stop saying that we need to forgive all these student loans, okay? How about the person who's got $70,000 in student loans and doesn't have a job? Gee, you know what? There's a little issue there. So, you know, I don't want to hear them whine about this stuff. It's crazy. But this is where the issue comes in. Is the jobs that we have that are short, truck drivers, that's a skill, okay? It's not, I don't just walk outside, hop into an 18-wheeler and say I'm a truck driver. I couldn't drive an 18-wheeler for my life, okay? And unless you've been trained on how to do it, nor can you. Drive a school bus, okay? Same thing. Not as difficult as an 18-wheeler, but you know, big difference driving something that size, moving around, whatever it would be. You know, pick an electrician, skilled position. You know, all these companies that are complaining about, we don't have any workers. Gee, if we saw a whole lot less McDonald's and a whole lot less fast food restaurants, that might actually be a good thing, okay? You know, because $8 for a Big Mac is not exactly what I'd call economical eating or healthy eating. The other thing that we see is people are finally giving up on the soul-killing jobs, I guess, if you will. You know, you're the loan officer at a bank or something like that, you know, and everybody hates you, whatever it would be. And people are starting to go, I'm going to do something that's better for me. I'm going to set up a roadside fruit stand, or I'm going to make knives, or do whatever. People are going into business for themselves, which is a much better thing. It is bringing back community. All of a sudden, everybody is coming to the point of, I don't want to work for Megalomaniac Incorporated. where Jeff Bezos is making billions upon billions of dollars. People just don't want to do it, and they're bringing things home, which is a good thing. They're becoming more they're the hell with the man, to use the 60s term. Stick it to the man. Okay, yeah, because as I said in a video the other day, all these people, the politicians, the Jeff Bezos of the world and everything like that, they couldn't grow a tomato if their life depended on it. Okay, they have no freaking clue. All right, they will be coming to us for help. But combined between the two, if you have CBDC come out, which these politicians don't want us to use Chinese, but they're totally good using American. But the American public says, screw you to the man, the government, and says, I'm not using CBDC either, because I'm perfectly fine trading the picnic table I make, the knife I forged, the vegetables I grew, the plumbing work I can do, the electrical work I can do, the re-roofing of a house I can do. I'm perfectly fine trading those to somebody else for material or for money that they find valuable. The dollar is going to be completely differently based going in the future, in my opinion. It won't fade away. The government may say it's worthless, but the government doesn't make all the decisions. The only thing that something has value of is what the buyer says it does. You can have a car and say it's worth $10,000. But if nobody will pay you more than $2,000 for it, it's only worth $2,000. The value of something is only what somebody else will give you for it. Okay? And if I have somebody fix my toilet and they say that's going to be $50, $50 bill, okay, that's what it's worth. And if they're going to take it, and then they'll go use the $50. Guys, remember this. Go back 150 years. Go back to the 1800s. We had dozens of different currencies across the United States, okay? You had coins minted in San Francisco, and you had coins minted in Philadelphia that were totally different. One was good in San Francisco, one was good in Philadelphia. We're going back to that. Be ready for it. This is why I'm saying, gold and silver will have value everywhere. What the local regional currencies will be, who knows? There's been times in the world where, rice, salt, whatever would be, has been currency. It could be acorns for the next 50 years. Who knows? But this is the thing. The politicians are saying no to using the Chinese CBDC. We talked about this morning, but they're still totally good with using it in the United States. Start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. This morning's early video, and then this one. Let me hear what you guys have to think about that. Have a good day. I'll probably be back as anything tickles my fancy. Pinball out.